After importing the songs and display it to our interface, it's time to get started with the real stuff of our application, to play the songs. It's time to go back to this player manager, where we use it to manage the status of the playing. In here, we already set up a variable called current song. This will be the song that I'm playing with the AV audio player. Let's set up with some stuff in the play function. Play function right now will be called by our wheel controller in terms of the player wheel controller when we click the play button. So we can start here. First, let's do a simplified version. I just want to play whatever songs in our current database. So let's say if I have the current song object is new, I would want to set up with a particular song out of a playlist. Say it would be equal to a playlist, and just get the playlist for the first element. Thus, I will need to have this current playlist variable set up. Let's put it here with current playlist as an array of song object. This playlist will be empty by default, and we need to know this with the all the songs in our database. So what I could do at this point is to check whether the current playlist is empty. If it is, I'm going to load all the songs. I'm going to put a function here which will only be used by the player, so I can set it with Python. By default, every function is internal, which means can be accessed in our current module of the application anywhere. Setting private means it can only be available within the current file. So if you have some extensions and put it in separate files, and you need to access the functions across these files, you still need to set it into internal. And now, no all songs can be the private function because I'm just calling it from within. Here, I want to say first initiate with the roam object. And then I'm going to set this current playlist with the result from the room. So say get all the objects of songs, and then map it for each song and return it directly. So this becomes an array of songs and store it into current playlist. For instance, I need to import RoomSwift to the current file as well. So now, the know all songs function is ready. And it knows the array of songs to current playlist, so that I can set the current song for the first object of the current playlist. At the time I set the current song, I also want to prepare the player. So what I could do at this point is to have a disset trigger, and then if current song is set with a value, which will be a song object, I'm going to check whether the location of the song object is the one that I'm currently playing, assuming I already have an existing player object with an existing path. Because if the path is the same, I'm not going to change the current song and also initiate a new player. I would just let the player to keep playing. So I can check with the path, which is a string value. If this is a different song, I'm going to create an object for the player, an object of AV audio player. And using the initializer of contents of URL, the location here is a path in terms of string. I need to convert this string into an NSURL object. This could be done using the NSURL initializer. File URL with path, and then put the current on the location here. This initializer actually lists a try block because it will throw exception, throw an error if there is one. I need to use try. Instead of using exclamation mark, I can also use the optional here, which means if an error happens, it won't throw the error directly. It just keeps the player as a new value. And then if player is set, I also want to set the volume with volume value here. Later on, we will link this volume to our interface with the slider on the interface. But at this moment, I have already initiated the player object and set the volume. So the player is now ready for play. So at this point, I can start playing. Now let's run the application and take a look. If I click the play button, it starts playing and play the first perhaps I could implement the pause function here as well. It is on the same button, so when I click it again, it calls the play again. It checks the folder is playing variable, and it will call pause if it is playing. So I'm going to make sure its playing variable is returning the real status of the player. I'm going to change a little bit. Here, instead of hard-coding the Boolean value, I'm going to return the value based on the player state. Say if our player is available, if let player is available, that means player has an object already. I'm going to return whether the player is playing. Else, it would always return false. That means if I start playing, this playing variable should return true based on what AV audio player does. And then if I click the button again, it will go to the pause part, and I could do a pause at this point. Let's try. Make sure I'm going to break the function after going to pause. So I can do a return here. That means when it pauses, all the remaining code won't run. So now, if I click the first time, and then the second, it stops there. If I play, that's it for today. See you tomorrow.